Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Underqualified and Over Opinionated. I am going to do the Sunday sprinkle episode today, but on a Monday. I've been traveling, but I really didn't want to miss this episode because it is the start of the Advent season, and I love Advent. Yesterday was the start of it. If you don't know, Advent is the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. Yesterday's theme was hope, and throughout this week, that's what we're going to be focusing on, hope. It's the same hope that Israel had for the coming of Christ. They were expectantly waiting for the birth of Jesus Christ, and today we are expectantly waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ. When we talk about hope in the Bible, it isn't talking about wishful thinking. It is something that the Lord gives us. The Lord gives us hope, and we are to anchor ourselves in that hope. It's something that we can stand on. A verse I really love is Hebrews 6:19. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It's an anchor. It's not a mood. It's not a vibe. It's not a maybe someday things will be better. It's something firm and anchoring that we can stand on when we trust in God. If we're being honest, sometimes things are extremely hard. I know I have had a year full of ups and downs. There's been a lot of really great things in my life, and there's been a really lot of hard things going on in my life. But one thing is for certain, God gives us hope in all things, and through Him, we can have hope for the future. And during this season of Advent, we can truly slow down and focus on Jesus, the reason we are here on this earth, and we can focus on how the Israelites felt so hopeful of the Messiah coming and being born on this earth. And now we today, like the Israelites, are still expectantly waiting for Jesus' second coming. And this season of Advent is the perfect time to give yourself a reset and refocus your mind on the reason that we're here and the reason for the season of Christmas. Advent is not like a countdown for Christmas. It is truly a time where we can reset, refocus, and slow down. Psalm 130 says, I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in His word I put my hope. If you're not sure what Advent is or you haven't practiced it before, I wanted to give a little brief history. It is one of the oldest traditions in the church. It dates back to at least the 4th century. The word Advent comes from the Latin word adventus. I might not be saying that right, but that word means arrival. Originally, Advent was just a season of preparation, of reflection, and of repentance. Early Christians were awaiting the arrival of Jesus, just as we are today. Like I said, Advent celebrations were seen as early as the 4th century. The earliest celebration mentioned was in AD 380. It was at a leadership meeting called the Council of Saragossa. Today, in many Advent celebrations and in most churches, you light candles each week and you see the wreath. That practice was first used in Germany in 1839, where a Lutheran minister took care of orphaned children and made a wreath out of a wheel and placed 20 white candles and 4 red candles on it. The white candle was lit each day of the week, and then the red candles were lit each Sunday for the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. Eventually, this idea spread, and that is where we see the tradition most churches do today, with the 4 candles on the wreath and then the Christ candle in the middle, which is to be lit on Christmas Eve. Another little fact, the Advent wreath that holds the candles is usually made out of evergreen, and evergreen is vibrantly alive even in the depths of winter to remind us that God is eternal and in Him we too have everlasting life. The wreath, of course, is also a circle with no beginning and no end. And that reminds us that God has always been and always will be. So that's just a little bit of the history on the Advent season, and I'm very excited to go through this season refocusing, resetting with Jesus in mind. For this season of Advent, I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm doing an Advent Bible study, and it is from the Daily Grace Co. If you haven't checked them out, you should totally go check out their website. They have a lot of really great stuff. But this is called Awakening Wonder, Experiencing the Nearness of Jesus. I got one for me, and I got a more masculine looking one for Mark. So we're gonna go through this together and just see where it takes us in this Advent season. But I challenge you all to also do an Advent study. It definitely doesn't have to be this one. I know there are ones on the Bible app and a lot of different places. But it's not too late to start. It's only day 2 of Advent. You can catch up very easily. So that is my challenge for you throughout this Advent season. My first takeaway from this study was that Advent season is all about celebrating the light in the darkness, Jesus. So the verse of this week for my Sunday sprinkle is, "The people who live in darkness have seen a great light, and for those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned." Matthew 4:16. Thank you for joining me today, even though my Sunday sprinkle turned into a Monday sprinkle. But I pray that you all have a fantastic week, and I will see y'all back next week to talk about peace.